So what is worship? We know that the word worship always comes in association with the church's life, but what is worship? Well, worship is the essential reason for the church's life. Everything about the Christian life begins in worship, grows from worship, and is brought back into worship. Now, whilst there are multiple forms of prayer, and these will be discussed later, worship has very specific features. In Christian revelation, we see how worship is first and foremost purposeful. It has a purpose. It isn't an activity done for its own sake. It has consequences which are known principally to the mind of God, but which are aimed at bringing about desired effects, best summarised as reconciling humanity with God. First, when we think about questions of faith and worship, it helps to remember the impact that the concept of time has upon us all. By time, we frequently use phrases like time well spent, or when it's difficult to recall something, we often say, "Oh, it's lost in time." Now hold that thought just for a moment. Don't let that memory go. A particular place or song or seems to take you back in time to a moment in time, a moment which you didn't want to end, but of course it had to some time. But what if there was one saving moment in time that couldn't be lost? What if there was a moment of irresistible, overwhelming love, the perfect moment in time that you could revisit as though it wasn't stuck in time, in history, but was ever present? In faith, the concept of time begins to change. The past, the present, and the future become one in Christ. If God is eternity, God has come among us in time, what does that say to you about how we think about time? Every Easter, on the eve of Easter, a day we call Holy Saturday, at a special vigil, a prayer is used. Christ yesterday and today, the beginning and the end, Alpha and Omega. All time belongs to him, and all ages. To him be glory and power, through every age and forever. There is so much desire for time to either move quickly or for it to slow down, as well as those who dearly wish they could go back in time for all sorts of reasons. Christian faith gives us a new understanding of time and how to use it. We begin to make a distinction between what we call chronological time, the clock, tick, tock, and what the Bible calls kairotic time. The church is a meeting place where time and eternity come together. In the Bible, chronos is about chronological time, past, present, and future. It's helpful for deadlines and jobs that we think need completing, and so on. Kairos, kairotic time, is about God's eternal time. In other words, the time of the present moment, which recapitulates the entire past as well as contains the entire future. I hope you can see this isn't dull. We simply need to learn how to see, how to hear, and how to experience the gift of Christian faith in time. So, while we tend to think of Christ's work as something which happened chronologically about 2,000 years ago in the year AD 33 or thereabouts, faith invites us to know this as an ever-present reality. Kairos, kairotic, which touches our lives in the here and now, today. What does this mean to you? Is it something you can perhaps imagine? Is it something you can perhaps believe? Maybe it thinks or gets you to think about baptism differently, or the Eucharist, which we'll explore later, the Scriptures. This understanding of time, God's time, is why the actions of the Church unite us with the events being described in a real and living way. It's why we can say that because of our baptism, which means entry into Christ's life, the Church, we now share in the very mystery of Christ's life. This is why what we call sacraments and the liturgy of the Church, again we'll explore these terms later, it's why we can say that because of our baptism, entry into Christ's life, his Church, we now share in the mystery of Christ's passion, meaning his suffering, his death and resurrection. All these things are held together as one in the miracle and the mystery of the Eucharist, that gift of Christ's life to his Church. Now, these events may have been chronological events from 2,000 years ago, but they are still what we call efficacious. They still make a difference. They transform things. They still make an impact in our own lives today. They produce the desired effect. They are a real and living engagement with all it says, all it does, all it contains. What does this make you feel now about time? What does it mean for the way you believe or might come to believe that this is how the Church understands time because of all it has received about the eternity of God in